Corey and I, we were close for a while. And then Kylie and I had a big sister fight, and he tried to intervene into it. And so that caused a little problem between us. We apologized and we got over it, but it just kind of stayed here. It never really did this.
Kendall has been in a serious relationship with Corey for several years. While they've managed to keep a relatively low profile, their relationship hasn't been without controversy. Kendall, who prides herself on her independence and ability to navigate life on her own terms, found herself in a situation where her relationship with Corey became a point of concern for her family, particularly her mother, Kris Jenner. Kris, the matriarch of the family, has always been fiercely protective of her children. Known for her business acumen, she steered the Kardashian-Jenner clan to global fame, making strategic decisions for their careers and personal lives. However, the situation with Kendall's relationship was different, and it pushed Kris to a breaking point. In a shocking turn of events, Kris found herself begging her daughter to reconsider her relationship with Corey, and ultimately end things for the sake of Kendall's happiness. At first, Kendall's relationship with Corey seemed to be a positive influence on her life. He appeared to be supportive of her career and a stabilizing figure. However, over time, cracks began to show. Kendall, who had always been the quiet and reserved member of the family, started showing signs of stress. Her usually positive and energetic attitude began to fade, and those close to her noticed that something was wrong. Kris, being the observant and protective mother that she is, immediately began noticing these changes in Kendall. She saw her daughter withdrawing from family events, canceling plans, and becoming increasingly distant. Was about to say. Kendall, who was usually so open about her feelings and goals, seemed to be hiding her emotions, leaving Kris increasingly concerned. At first, Kris tried to brush it off, thinking maybe Kendall was just going through a phase or dealing with the pressures of her career. But as time went on, the signs became harder to ignore. Kendall, who had always been a confident and independent woman, seemed to be retreating into herself. The worst part was that she wasn't talking to her family about what was going on in her personal life. After weeks of watching her daughter suffer in silence, Kris couldn't wait any longer. She called Kendall over to her house for a private conversation. Kendall, who had been avoiding her mother's calls for days, finally agreed. As she walked into Kris's home, the tension was already palpable. Kris had never looked so serious. They sat down in Kris's private study, and the air between them was thick with unsaid words. Kendall sat down across from her mother, her usual calm demeanor replaced with nervous fidgeting. She could sense that something was different about this meeting, and she wasn't sure she was ready for what Kris was about to say. Kris wasted no time in addressing the elephant in the room. "Kendall, I need to talk to you about something important. It's about Corey," she said, her voice calm but firm. "I know you've been going through a lot, and I've been patient, but I can't keep pretending that everything is okay when I can see that it's not." Kendall looked down, avoiding her mother's gaze. She didn't want to admit that Kris was right. She didn't want to talk about how things had gotten so complicated with Corey. She loved him, but she couldn't ignore the growing distance between them. Still, she wasn't ready to confront those feelings. Kris continued, her voice tinged with concern. "Sweetheart, I love you more than anything in this world, and I can see you're struggling. You've been distant. You're not the same Kendall I know. I want to know what's going on. I want to help." Kendall's eyes welled up with tears as she looked at her mother. The weight of the situation, of everything she had been holding in for so long, came crashing down on her. She had tried so hard to make her relationship with Corey work, but deep down, she knew it wasn't right. Yet, she couldn't bring herself to face the truth. "I don't know what to do, Mom," Kendall whispered. "I love him, but I feel so lost. I feel like I'm losing myself in this relationship." Kendall whispered, her voice barely audible. "Corey has been different. I don't know who he is anymore, and I don't know if I can keep going like this." Kris's heart broke as she listened to her daughter. Kendall had always been the one to keep her emotions in check, to remain calm in the face of adversity, but now she was clearly broken, and Kris knew something had to change. "Kendall," Kris said softly, her voice full of concern, "I don't want you to keep suffering like this. You deserve to be happy. You deserve someone who lifts you up, someone who sees your worth. Corey is not that person." Kendall was taken aback by her mother's words. "Mom, I don't know what you mean," she said, her voice shaking. "Corey and we've been, and her own personal growth. The support from her mother, Kris, and her sisters gave her the strength to move forward. Although the breakup was painful, Kendall felt a sense of relief, like a weight had been lifted from her shoulders. "I needed this," she admitted to her family one evening, as they gathered around. "I was so focused on pleasing everyone else, I forgot about myself." Kris smiled warmly, her eyes filled with pride. "You deserve the world, Kendall. I'm so proud of you for choosing your happiness." Over time, Kendall regained her sense of self and began to focus on her career and personal goals. She took the time to nurture herself, re-establishing the balance that had been missing for so long. And though she had to face some difficult days ahead, Kendall knew that she had made the right choice, one that would ultimately lead to her becoming the best version of herself. In her own strength and the knowledge that she had made the right decision, the choice to walk away from Corey Gamble was one of the hardest things Kendall Jenner has ever had to do. But in the end, it was a decision that helped her reclaim her life and her happiness. Kris Jenner's intervention marked a turning point in Kendall's emotional journey, and it ultimately led to a better understanding of herself and her needs. While the road ahead may still be filled with challenges, Kendall knows that she can rely on her family to support her every step of the way. As for Kris, she has once again proven that a mother's love knows no bounds, and sometimes, tough love is the key to helping a child find their way. What do you think about Kris Jenner's intervention in Kendall's relationship? Do you believe Kendall made the right decision, or do you think there's more to the story? Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to VIP. Watch for more exclusive updates on the Kardashian-Jenner family. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time with more inside info and exclusive stories. Stay VIP.